All right, everybody, and welcome to Collector Minds number 5. Today we are talking comics and comic collecting with the one and only Sleepyn Comics. Welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me. Really appreciate it. I'm excited
Great,
about this one.
great to have you here today. So, to start this conversation off, just tell us, how do you got into collecting, or how do you specifically got into collecting comics?
So it's been I really when I was young, I really didn't have enough money to collect a lot of comics. I had
Yeah,
some comics, not many, and
yeah,
I remember going to the comic store and looking at a lot of comics, not necessarily buying them. But I've always been fascinated with the stories, and I remember a lot of my friends had comics. I would read their comics and whatnot. And
yeah.
then later in life, as I was able just to get a little bit extra money, of course, in the last 10 years or so, maybe a little bit longer, I was able to go back and uh and buy some of the comics that I saw as a kid.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then of course you just go down the hole. So then
Yeah,
I
down the
started
rabbit hole and then you're into, yeah, okay.
100%,
Yeah,
100%.
yeah, I
So
got it.
yeah, really over the last 10, 15 years, I've gotten more into it.
Yeah. Is there like a specific comic you remember where you were like, okay, now I'm into comics?
I think the one, I mean, I remember one of my friends read Daredevil, another one of my friends read X-Men. And so those are fun ones. And some of the classic ones that you may or may not have seen. I remember seeing those issues like on the floor or some guys, bedroom or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
But the one I really remember was uh was the Secret Wars, which is the first Secret Wars, which
Hmm.
are gonna make a movie. We don't know which of the versions of Secret Wars they're gonna do, but apparently
Yeah,
Marvel is gonna make a Secret Wars movie in the next couple of years, I think, which would involve all the heroes fighting, bad guys. And
yeah, yeah.
I remember that one as a big
Ah,
one, a
okay.
run that I remember reading.
Yeah, okay. And what would you say are like the best storylines out there for someone who starts reading comics? Because I have to be honest, I've read like a comic book 2 to 4 times in my life, maybe. So what should I start with? With what kind of comic series?
And I think everybody asks me that, right? And it is a little bit, you've got, many years of
Yeah.
stories. You feel like when you're reading something, they're referencing something, you have no idea what that is. But what I suggest to people is, generally people get into it from the movies. So
Yeah.
if you have a particular character that you like, Spider-Man, Batman, whoever it is,
Son Goku.
uh, which one?
Son Goku. I'm
Oh, okay,
Dragon.
yeah.
Yeah, Dragon Ball.
Then just go to your local comic book store, or you can buy them on VeVe, whatever you want to do, right? And just kind of jump in. Generally
Just start
speaking,
somewhere, or how do you say it?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
Just start buying it. And what will happen is that um it's in the middle of some storyline and you'll be kind of confused, whatever.
Mhm.
And that's always difficult. But generally the storylines last about 5 issues.
Okay.
So potentially 5 months if it comes out once a
Yeah.
month. And then it'll be within the same kind of run of comics, but then it'll be a different storyline.
Hmm.
And then you'd pick up and then you would kind of you just after like 3 or 4 or 5 issues, you kind of start understanding what's going on.
Yeah,
And
okay.
then it kind of naturally something will happen and you'll be like, I really don't understand why the Guardians of the Galaxy fell through this black hole. Like that interests me. So then you'd kind of go research that. You'd find out that was a different series. You end up reading that series, and then it's
Yeah.
down the rabbit hole, right?
Yeah, okay. So the advice would be just start somewhere.
And start with a character or hero or team that you like, right?
Yeah.
You don't want if you don't like Guardians of the Galaxy, then that's not going to
Yeah, okay.
mean anything,
That's yeah,
right?
yeah.
So,
Fair
but if
play.
you're really like, I love Spider-Man, buy some Spider-Man comics. And it's really like the thing I love about collecting, and I tell people, and there's all this stuff about you should buy this one or read this. No, it's very personal. So when I'm collecting or I'm reading, this is going to sound weird, but like nobody tells me what to do. Like my wife doesn't say, you need to read The Craven Hunt, or
Yeah.
I if I'm interested, it's very personal. If I want to stop reading, I stop reading. And it sounds so kind of silly, but it is. And if you like, that's why I said your taste will change. You know, if you're really into covers that are red, buy comics with that are red, buy comics that are green. If you like, you know, I always say, like, there's a person I know who collects covers with people chewing bubble gum. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
okay,
Like,
okay.
so no, there's a lot. It's very weird. There's a, you know, so, but it doesn't matter. It's kind of your personal thing, and your tastes change over time.
Yeah.
And so, and you'll find artists that you really like,
Yeah,
and then you're down the.
I wanted to say that you probably just need to read a little bit to figure out what your preferences were and what kind of storytelling or storylines, characters, etc. speak to you as a person then, right?
Yes. And it changes over time. Like, you might like this artist and then you might stop liking this artist,
Yeah.
or you might like this character, or you might stop liking this character. And it's okay.
Okay,
Sometimes you're only buying
what were
comics for
these two
art. Sometimes you buy it for story.
yeah. What kind of character and what kind of artist did you like and now don't like?
Oh, that's okay. Well, I'll give you a good example is, and the only reason I say this is within the VeVe world, she's very popular, also very popular in the physical world, Peach
Yeah.
Momoko. So I remember seeing Peach Momoko's stuff very early, even before she did any work for Marvel and more independent stuff. And it's not like I disliked it. It just
Yeah.
wasn't her style didn't speak to
Yeah.
me as much. But she did some work for Marvel. She specifically did this one on Silver Surfer Black with Silver Surfer and Noel fighting, and I thought it was amazing. I was actually able to buy that comic in the comic store, which is great
Yeah.
because it's
Yeah.
pretty expensive otherwise. And after that, I really, really kind of fell in love with a lot of her work, and I have a ton of Peach Momoko work.
Oh, okay.
And then, of course, it was crazy because then she signed it. I think she has an exclusive deal with Marvel, so she only makes Marvel stuff now, and that's been in place for about, I'll make it up, I think 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
But before, she did obviously a lot of different types of work.
But is their work from before the Marvel times now like more valuable?
Um, yeah, some of her work, I'm sure, is quite popular because she's
Yeah.
quite quite popular now. Um, and it's a different style. I think she's almost more of a horror artist, which was that's kind of what I thought of her as. And of course, with
Yeah.
Marvel, they're limiting that because Marvel's more kind of fun for kids and, you know, whatnot.
Yeah, I
But
got it.
and I'm sure there'll be a point in time where, you know, she'll probably get. She already is so popular. She will. I don't know how long her contract is with Marvel, but she'll be able to do whatever she wants.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
I mean,
So
that's my guess, right?
so she is set in the comic industry.
Yeah, I think there's a, you know, there's always this kind of top tier of artists. It fluctuates,
Yeah.
but I think she's kind of pushed herself into that realm now.
Ah, okay. Okay. You mentioned movies earlier. What is your take on like the connection between the comics and the movies? Which one makes like the other one more popular? Do you understand the question? Yeah, right. Okay, great.
Yeah. I think the movies have clearly done a great job of making the characters more popular. I mean, a lot of the characters that they use in the movies are really relatively obscure in the comics, like the Guardians of the Galaxy. I had not read anything about Guardians of the Galaxy before they did that movie.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
didn't really even know who they were. I mean, I vaguely did, but not, you know, not a lot, right? So I think that they've done a good job of popularizing, you know, heroes that people, you know, aren't as familiar with. Even Iron Man isn't, I mean, is a popular, but not like a Spider-Man
Yeah,
level,
okay. I mean,
you know.
Spider-Man is the
Yeah, even
most
Thor,
popular,
who's
right?
popular. Thor's not a, you know, that big of a character, like Black
Mhm.
Panther too. But the movies have made them
Yeah,
huge
yeah,
popular characters.
yeah. Okay, okay, got it. So like the movies and the comics complement each other in terms of okay, the comics give the characters kind of, and the movies made some of them like big. Yeah,
Yeah, and really, it's just about entertainment, right? It's about um doing something, you know, we all work or have jobs or whatever we're doing. And so we want some entertainment. Stories are great, movies are great. The art, that's the one additional piece that I think comics offer well, they offer a lot of variety of things to just normal books, right?
Yeah.
But the graphical element is so interesting. You get to see these incredible artists and their ability to kind of visualize what's happening as part of the story. It's whereas obviously if you're just reading a book, you're kind of doing it more in your head.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
But I mean,
and
the
then the other interesting
creativity is
element
good,
is the
right?
fact that different artists, have different takes on the, and so then
Yeah.
that's also, you just think of the different ways that Spider-Man has been drawn from Todd McFarlane to, all these different people that, that have drawn Spider-Man over the years. So that's also very interesting.
Yeah.
It,
Yeah. Okay. In terms of your own collecting style, first of all, do you just collect comics mainly?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mainly comics and a lot of even on VeVe, I do have a number of collectibles, but I
Yeah.
have mostly comics.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Okay.
I do have some statues and other things, but um as a collector, I think you do have this instinct to kind of want to get them all, the
Yeah.
classic
Yeah.
Pokemon.
Yeah.
And so I think, you have to be dangerous because you have limited resources. You can't just be, if you like,
You can't just be all out and
I
get
mean,
it.
some people can, right? If you have, $1 billion, you can
Yeah.
do
I
whatever you
mean,
want. But most
I
normal humans,
how impressive did David's warehouses look, or the one warehouse? I mean, he has three of that, I guess.
amazing, right? He has, there's an example of someone who obviously has a lot of money and can get it all, right?
Yeah, yeah,
But, yeah, amazing, right? Amazing. And his collection is amazing because you see, at least from the comic perspective, you've seen multiple really unbelievable comics, Um, obviously he has an Amazing Fantasy 15, which is the first appearance of
yeah,
Spider-Man. I think he has a Marvel Comics 1. I thought someone said he showed, and there's only something like 69 of those in
yeah,
the
yeah,
world or
yeah.
something like that.
Okay, sick.
Um, and then the other thing which we have a little bit on VeVe, but is really the next level of collecting that I don't do is original art. So
Yeah,
all of the art that you see, obviously a person, drew that in the
yeah,
beginning, and that original art piece is a one of one and is, running around and sell for obnoxious amounts of money.
yeah,
And it looks like in the background, sometimes I've seen David has some sketches and it looks like some original art from uh various comics. And of course they're one of one, so they're
yeah,
super, super expensive.
yeah, yeah. But not just in price, right? Even though, like in the history aspect of it, right?
Yeah.
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 I
It
mean,
is amazing. Like when you think about, for at least me, when you think about like Amazing Fantasy 15, when that comic came out with Spider-Man, no one knew who that guy was. So
yeah,
this would be the first time someone had even seen that character, just like the Incredible Hulk comic behind you, right? Like
yeah.
that was the first time anybody had seen Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I got that, and the significance of those characters in the entertainment industry today, right, and in the comic industry as well. How great would it be if, like, David gave like a kind of a room tour through one of his facilities? That would be so cool.
I
Yeah,
feel like he almost has to hire like someone to doc who does documentaries,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
to
yeah. Okay,
like that Metaverse
just
Life
to
guy,
keep track of all that stuff. Okay.
yeah, who'd come in and they'd make a whole hour movie about it because it's probably unbelievable.
Yeah.
I think when
Yeah.
it's all said and done, if VeVe really is household name and very successful, uh there'll definitely be, I bet you, some sort of documentary on
Yeah, I
David.
think
Yeah,
so
there's
too.
got to be, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You already mentioned Vivi and also your own collecting journey. We now talked about like full warehouses of collectibles. How does it look in your case? How many boxes of comics or
Oh,
displays or you know?
uh, I have quite a few physical comics. So I'm lucky enough, my house, I have a basement, and it's a really quite large basement. Like I'm sitting in the basement right now. There's different
Okay, yeah,
sections of the
yeah,
basement. So
yeah,
there's this section of the basement is in the United States we call it a walkout. So you can actually, there's doors and stuff you can walk out. It's
yeah,
overlooking this like lake. So then there's windows here. But if you go back to another section of the basement, there's rooms that have no windows, and one of those is my office. And so I used to film a lot of videos there.
Yeah.
And so I'm able to keep all my comics back there because comics in the sunlight don't work together well.
Yeah. Got it.
I can control the humidity and some of the other things you need to do if you have comics.
Yeah.
And then I have boxes and boxes of them, of course.
Yeah.
I'm pretty meticulous in how I keep them. And you could probably do an entire video on different ways people organize their comics. It's actually much more sophisticated than you would think.
But in your opinion, what's like the best way like to protect the comics? So what do you do to protect them except from no sunlight?
So most of my comics are in what are called Mylar bags, which are a little bit more expensive bag, and then have the acid-free backing boards. And then I store them in these plastic boxes that are kind of specially made for them. And so, and then I have them on these, it's kind of crazy. Then I have them on these steel racks. Yeah, steel racks, because you'd be surprised, comics are really heavy.
Yeah.
And so you always see these horror stories where people have all their comics and then the shelf collapses and all their comics get smacked.
Yeah, okay.
So I have my comics on these steel reinforced. I know it's kind of crazy.
Have you ever posted a photo of that on Twitter or on X or so? I would love to see that.
I could. Yeah.
And please do that and tag me. I would love to see that because it sounds kind of silly a little bit.
It's not. I mean, it's probably but I feel like so these books. I mean, it's not like it's that big of a deal, right? You can just buy these things at the store. It's not like I handmade them or something like that.
Yeah.
But when you have thousands, my comic collection is worth thousands and thousands of dollars. So I feel like this is thousands of US dollars right here. I can spend an additional $30.
Yeah, definitely. You should protect that.
That the shelf isn't going to fall apart.
Yeah. 100%. And I don't want it to sound like I really think it's crazy. I mean, I know what kind of like emotional value and dollar amount value is behind that. So just spend an extra couple of bucks to make it safe. I totally get that.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. And I saw, like I said, after the third picture on Instagram where somebody's collection collapsed because of the
you panicked.
I was like, I probably should go to the store. Pay an extra $30 US and buy some better shelves.
Yeah. Do you also display some of the comics in your home?
Not in my normal home because the sunlight once again. But in my office, I have them displayed. Yes.
Yeah.
So one of the things people do, which is pretty smart, is they will just they'll take scans of it and then like print them and then just display them that way, which is kind of weird. But it's difficult. That's the one difficult thing. But like in VeVe, like you can display the stuff whenever you want. But
exactly.
But real world stuff, it's difficult.
Yeah, but I have a question on that topic, on keeping like the comics safe while you display them. First of all, the case absorbs a little bit of UV light, right?
So if it's in a Mylar, like there's no protection from UV because it's just a bag, right?
Yeah, I mean the graded ones.
No, there's probably almost no protection there, I would bet. On those. There are new slabs that have come out that have supposedly some UV protection. So number one, what I always say to people is I don't care if you've bought something and says it's UV protected, I don't trust it at all. So that's my one thing. So then what I have is I have special frames that I bought, and the glass is is the museum grade glass.
Yeah, I wanted to say
99.9% UV protected.
Yeah.
But even that I don't trust. So you'll never see me, even with that stuff, display it where there's sunlight, even with the museum grade stuff.
Yeah. So you are really strict about it then, because with the museum glass, I mean, it's like nearly 100% safe probably if they place like the biggest art pieces of the world,
like Picasso or Monet or
exactly. And so I would say for a comic it should be fine.
The thing about it is that I mean, I agree. Once again, at those museums, they
Yeah,
have
yeah,
these
yeah, yeah.
technicians. I'm only taking it to, I bought it online on the internet. They
Yeah,
say
okay.
it's, I
Yeah,
don't, and I'm sure they're not lying, but you never know, right? So
yeah,
it's
yeah.
safe for me to display these in my office, where there's no sunlight and it's behind 99% UV protected. I feel like it's pretty safe, but
That
yeah,
that's
I wouldn't.
that should sleep in. That should work. I guess so. Okay, great. Yeah. So you mentioned VeVe and said like, okay, there you can display it whenever you want, wherever you want, etc. Um, so first of all, is there like a special comic on, or a couple special comics you collect on VeVe? Are that more like the Grail pieces, like Hulk 1, like Amazing Fantasy 15, etc.?
Yeah, I'm lucky enough to have a lot of those. I kind of collect the commons because it's the original cover.
Yeah,
And then depending on the price, I try to get the circuit rares.
yeah,
Generally, they're too expensive for me.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, I've been just doubling down and collecting a lot of the common of the other comics. And then the other thing that I do is, and this is kind of more my old comic book collecting days, is I like to buy the ones that are really, really, really cheap that I think perhaps maybe could go
Ah,
up
yeah,
later.
okay. Like the little
So
gamble, right?
yeah, so when you're
Yeah,
buying, and they're pretty cheap. So if you're buying some of these, comics for $1 or 1.5 gems,
yeah.
the chance of them, if that particular character hits or whatever,
They could
maybe they go
become
up to,
big,
I don't
right?
think they go to $100, but maybe they go to 10 gems, which would,
Yeah,
be 10 times your money.
yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. But this like 10x in crypto and NFTs is like, yeah, and you're
Yeah.
like, okay, man, where else did you get that? Um, what I wanted to ask was like, what do you think about the print runs on VeVe? For the like first big comics, like for example, Marvel Comics #1, because it's like 60,000 editions. That
Yeah, it's the world has changed so much from back then. And now, we're seeing runs of 3,000, 2,000, 1,000, right?
yeah,
Uh, it's all going to work itself out in the end. If VeVe ends up being as successful as we think it's going to be,
yeah,
if the digital collecting marketplace ends up being the greater, grander uh, uh, world accepts digital collecting, it'll all work itself out.
yeah. I mean,
And
then 60,000 edition is like compared really small.
it's weird because like in the real world, it's happened too. Like you have comics that for whatever reason, back in the day, there was not that many of them, and they're worth something. And then you have ones that they're printed a ton of them, and they're
Yeah,
worth something. It just depends. So the good example would be Ultimate Fallout 4, which is the first appearance of Miles Morales.
yeah.
So in the real world, I believe people kind of guess, they don't exactly know, but there's about 85,000 of those were printed.
Okay,
A
okay.
lot.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, and so you would think, and that comic wasn't worth a lot for a long time. Now Miles Morales is pretty popular.
Yeah.
So in a 9.8, that comic might be worth $1,000 or something like that.
Oh,
I
okay.
remember when it was worth $250.
Yeah, yeah.
I actually bought 5 of them,
No,
9.8.
great investment then.
Because I believed in the character. I thought perhaps they would make a movie, or and obviously they did and whatnot.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
not everything works that way, right? So another good example of a character that I think is still developing, but I think has huge legs and huge possibility is Ms. Marvel. So she did have a Disney Plus show. She was in the Marvels movie, and so that character, I think she could be really, really huge. And so I bought a bunch of her comics back in the day for relatively cheap.
yeah,
So
yeah.
we'll see if that ends up panning out, right? We still don't know.
Yeah, so those are like the little comic trades, the comic trades you do with a yeah thought process that this character might become a bigger one that's than now, for example.
Yeah.
So is it that you like kind of regularly Re re
regularly.
regularly. Yeah, exactly. Kind of trade physical comics and or comics on VeVe.
Um, so not as much anymore. I used to do more of it when I had more time. I just kind of gotten busy.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, it's and really trading, you can't sell them on eBay or Instagram. You don't really, it's tough. I think back in the day, maybe you did some of that.
yeah,
On VeVe, I sell some stuff, but not a lot. And mainly because we just don't have enough people right now. If you put some stuff up for sale, you're going to end up not
yeah,
selling it for very
yeah. That's
much.
right.
Um, but I think just the amount of volume uh, in both marketplaces, because comic collecting in the last 2 years has really pulled back. It was really in its had an explosion, I'd say, 2017, 18, 19, 20, 21,
Yeah.
really all collectibles. A lot of it had to do with COVID. A lot of it had to do with different economic,
But
I think the way
isn't
that
there some kind of cycle in
100%.
collectibles as
Yeah.
well?
Yeah. It's
Because I
all a
mean,
cycle. It has to do with, I mean, it has to do with a lot of things. So we don't need to get into world economics, right?
yeah,
But,
yeah, yeah,
but, um, but yeah, there's definitely a cycle just like everything else. Um, and so it's just, and you know this as well. It's this kind of game of within your own mind. I think it's very personal. Am I collecting for fun? Am I collecting because I really love this particular character? Am
yeah,
I collecting as an investment? There are all kinds of different, and there's no right or wrong way. And like I said, some days you might be really into investment, and literally the next week you might be like, I'm just going to grab this cover because I really like the artist. So
yeah,
it's back and forth.
yeah, yeah. Okay, got it. So you keep like most of your stuff, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. But I think for VeVe specifically, I think that it's just so new, and a lot of people have done videos, including myself. We just don't
yeah, but
know
you should do more videos because I really like to watch them. And there's like an upload once a month, kinda.
Yeah, I used to upload twice a week.
Yeah, I know
Um,
that. I'm into VeVe since the beginning of 2021, and I watched like a lot of people back then and through the bear market.
I uh I started my YouTube channel like I think a year and a half or 2 years before I got into VeVe. And
Yeah,
I made two, I mean, I was trying to make 2 videos a week just on comics and different ones I was buying, just kind of like my journey through it all, right?
yeah,
And but obviously VeVe is the one when I started talking more about VeVe that accelerated my channel and most of my audience now, although I have a lot of friends in the physical comic book, and I know a lot of YouTubers in the physical comic
yeah,
book world
yeah.
still because I met them back when I was more of a physical comic book
But I
YouTuber.
mean, it could be both, right? I mean, you could
Oh yeah.
still be a physical collector and be a digital one.
Oh, and I'm both, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah,
but um yeah, I just don't think I think it's fascinating, right? It's not that I wouldn't have just kept collecting comics for the rest of my life. I'm sure I would have.
yeah,
But I think the digital collecting world is so fascinating to me because we're right in the beginning. How fun is
yeah,
that, right?
absolutely.
And so, like I said, people make videos that say that it's trash. People make videos that say it's the best.
Yeah,
I don't think we know. I don't even think we know what we have. It's exciting. I like the unknown.
yeah, yeah. I think, for example, I think currently the like strength of VeVe to transform non-collectors into collectors is so great because I know a lot of the German community haven't been collectors before and now became collectors as myself. I mean, my collection is kind of small, but I still bought a couple of pieces, right? So, and that's because of VeVe. I've never collected comics before.
It's and I've done videos on this too, but I think it's collecting at its best is uh it's a very personal thing where you're collecting stuff that you want, that you like, and no one else can, if you like red covers, great. I mean, that's your thing. There's no problem with that, right?
Yeah,
So that's what I love. Um, you know, the other aspect of it is the community aspect. There is an element where you're collecting things and you get to know people. They're collecting the same thing, and you can, I mean, at work, I really can't be telling people, hey,
Yeah,
did
no
you get
one
my
gets it,
Venom
right?
comic? Nobody cares about my
Yeah.
Venom comic, right?
Yeah,
In
yeah.
in
You're
the
like, look at it, look
yeah,
at it.
no, I don't do that. Yeah, I probably get kicked out, right? But
Yeah, because of the UV light.
right, right,
Yeah.
right. No, but you know what I'm saying. So you kind of find like-minded people. It's always fun to hang out with
Yeah,
like-minded
yeah,
people. It's exciting. And then the third element of it is, um, you know, I think once you get really involved, you're collecting, I think it's natural for people to take the next step and try to do something with it themselves. Like you have this YouTube channel.
yeah.
Um, People
Yeah,
do
but
Twitter
I have to
spaces.
say this YouTube channel is like my learning journey because as I said, I've never collected anything and I kind of got hooked, but I don't wanted to just read articles. I wanted to speak to people who know collecting from like different angles because I thought like that's the way where I can learn the most about this whole space, right? And I also love the community and wanted to be like some kind of valuable part because I guess a couple of people will look at this and say, "Oh yeah, I've learned something new about comic collecting because of Sleepyn."
I would say that the other element of it for you, for me, and for the people who are creating something. So when you make these videos, you're creating something. When people are who hold Twitter spaces, they're they're creating something. They're creating an area and facilitating a community. Other people who do YouTube videos or art, people do art.
Yeah,
People make fun pictures or use the collectibles to create basically their own graphical art. It's a piece of creativity inside of yourself that you're able to share.
yeah,
And um, I mean, I think that's where collecting is at its best because it kind of turns itself around. Not only are you consuming the comics or collectibles and enjoying them, you are now creating your own stuff.
yeah.
And that's, I think, that's the full circle.
Yeah, yeah. And also, I think like the whole community is so supportive. The most of the community is so supportive, and everybody's like here to make new friends, etc. I think that's so great. I met so many interesting people inside the German community. I would probably have never met otherwise. That's absolutely fantastic, I think.
It's it's funny because they say that, a lot of companies will say, "Oh, we're an international company."
Yeah,
That's the classic
yeah,
line,
yeah.
right? Um, and really VeVe and its digital collecting is international. The community
100%.
is unbelievable from every, you know, walk of life and from all over the world. People have been able to connect like you and I or other
Yeah,
people that I've met
exactly.
from around the country or world. And same with my YouTube channel and your YouTube channel. You'll be surprised how many people you'll meet through it from around the world. And it's pretty fun.
Yeah, yeah, I can believe that. In terms of like the global aspect of VeVe, because you mentioned it, currently we are the user base is kind of US, Canada, and Europe. So we have like a lot of people from the Asian markets and Africa and blah 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 blah. What do you think will be like the plan on VeVe's side to acquire like those countries and those people from there? Because they already told us they are definitely working on some manga and all that.
I mean, I think there's the two elements there, and really in my background in business and whatnot as well. There's generally only one challenge, but they have two challenges. So the first challenge you generally have, which is, how do we just break into this different marketplace, different culture, different, obviously language in most terms, but it's difficult as a company to do that.
Yeah,
And you have to share your value proposition to that culture and that country to make sure they want to buy your product. Hopefully they do, right? But the additional piece that's very, very difficult they have to break through is all of the legislative and understanding of what crypto is.
yeah,
And when you get into Asia, Korea, Japan, China, um, I mean, it's very, just like it is in the United States, people don't understand what is going on. And I think especially like in Korea, Japan, China, and some of the other countries, any sense of it's gambling or that type of a concept,
Yeah.
they get the governments restrict that.
Yeah. Okay.
So
But in terms of the Asian countries, I mean, in those countries, most of people like already value like digital stuff, but just not like in the NFT or digital collectibles sphere, right?
I think so. I think so. I think, you hear about, in all those countries, I think they have huge amounts of revenue that go into digital collecting of like
Yeah.
video games and other things. So it seems, and people that are much younger than I or understand it or into it much more.
Yeah.
But it all smells right. It all smells good. It all seems like we're on the precipice, but of course it's, what happens next.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
So you would say
it'll be interesting.
the people over there have to like lay down a switch and get more educated on that topic, because I mean the one thing that fascinates me the most is like the first time you can actually own something like digital. That's such a remarkable moment in my opinion.
I agree. But I think it's just, there's so many, when you talk to somebody who is really, really hypercritical of crypto, blockchain, Web3, and try to just unbiasedly speak to them, which I attempt to do. I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of us do, right?
Yeah.
There's just so many blockades there. There's
Yeah.
there's the element of it being a scam. There's the element of it just conceptually understanding mechanically how to buy the stuff.
Yeah.
Even though you say you can use a credit card and just get an app and you
Even
could buy stuff
even
right
though
away.
it's really easy on VeVe, to be fair.
It's really easy. And
Yeah.
even now in the United States, like you can buy Bitcoin really easily. And people, we've had this big, we've had a new election.
Yeah,
We've
I
had,
know that. Yeah.
we have love or hate the new president. He's been backing crypto. And so there's
Obviously,
been a
with a Trump coin, I mean, kind of
so
kind of a clearer signal. I don't know what that should be, to be fair.
yeah. So we won't talk politics on your channel, right? But
Yeah, no, no.
but it's either way, the amount of attention that has been drawn to crypto, Bitcoin specifically, and other is at a probably a couple year high, at least I would say at a minimum.
Yeah.
And so the amount of people that have asked me, how do I buy Bitcoin? Is at an all-time high, really. And it's very easy, and yet people won't do it.
Yeah.
I mean, you go get an account at Coinbase here in the United States and buy crypto within, I don't know, pretty easily. So
I mean, change is always hard, right?
Yeah.
But I think like every day is more digital than the day before. So I guess the masses will catch up soon, or in the next couple of years, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I also think like the AR technology VeVe has will be really interesting in like 4 to 6 years, when like all the wearables kind of hit like their market mass market stage.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, we're still looking for those kind of and it's a combination of not only the tech, and this is why that's difficult, right? I was just talking to somebody about that it's this, you can have the tech, you can even spend, hundreds of millions of dollars in marketing, but if it really doesn't provide value for a person, it's not gonna help.
Yeah.
And so the example I would give would be the Apple Vision, right? It's an incredible piece of technology.
Sorry, that's such a shitty product. I've never worn it, to be fair. But I mean, this big of a headset with the cable and like the battery, I mean, come on.
I think it's the first generation. It obviously, I think the tech inside of it's unbelievable, right? And I think they spend $100 million in marketing, probably more, right?
Yeah.
But there's an example of where it simply doesn't provide enough value for a person
Yeah, exactly.
to it's a fun thing, right?
But have you seen
And
the ones from Meta?
I've seen the video. I haven't seen
Yeah,
them
yeah, okay.
personally.
They are not out yet, I guess, but the video of it is sick. Like they are kind of really small and light and all that. And if you then could like put a digital overlay about your like over your like reality, I mean, that would be really, really helpful for a lot of people, I guess.
From my perspective, and once again, it's my business, putting on my business hat, everything has to have an economic value to somebody. So in
Yeah,
other words, like I don't know, do you have a car?
yeah,
Okay, so if I said to you, you know, I have a car that's, a very nice car and it costs now $500 US, opposed to, $35,000 US,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
You're interested in that, and so
Definitely, yeah,
it helps you because it helps you get to work, go see your friend, whatever you need to do. You have to,
yeah.
where I live in the United States, you have to have a car. Okay, there's no other
Yeah,
transportation.
I need a car for my job, so yeah.
Right, right. So that's a no-brainer. If once it gets to a spot where the augmented reality goggles or glasses, they assist you in such a way that if you did not have them, you are at a disadvantage, then it's going to be
Yeah, I
right
think
now
so
it's just
too.
for fun.
But I think I've heard Zuckerberg say like he expect this in 2030 to hit like the mainstream stage. So that would
Yeah.
be like 5, 6 years away. That would be really crazy, to be fair. Just imagine we both have never met before in real life. Just imagine we both walk over the Comic Con in New York, have both our goggles on, and then it's like, oh, there's Sleepyn. Last you have talked about, and you have seen him last. Yeah, that would be really crazy, I think.
I think there's going to be something, and it's going to just like everything. It will, once it starts rolling, it's really going to take
Yeah,
over.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And,
exactly.
and the example would be like you just said, is that you can go to Comic-Con without those glasses, but if you go to Comic-Con with those glasses, it's going to be that much more of an incredible experience. And
Yeah.
that is what will,
Yeah. Just
set it apart.
imagine like the digital overlay over
Oh,
even the real Comic Cons. That would, yeah,
amazing, right?
yeah,
And
absolutely.
if you've been to the Comic-Con, you get confused. Where is this? I want to know this. You're trying to find, it could
Yeah,
just
and then
put
you
your
have
hand
like
out and it can
arrows
show you
on
where to
top
go.
and stuff.
Yeah.
That would be great. Um, I've once heard you talk about that's a total different topic, just topic hopping here. I've once heard you talk about the name Sleepyn Comics. And you told a story about you've met a cover artist or so and wanted to have something signed by him or her. I'm not sure about that. And they were like, you were like, "Hi, I'm Sleepyn Comics," and they didn't get the clue. Do you know what kind of story I mean?
I can't remember that one, but I'll give you so Sleeping Comics is kind of an odd thing. So well, way back when I was in high school and other things, I uh I was a swimmer, a competitive swimmer.
Yeah, yeah,
So we had to swim in the morning at 5 a.m. every day. And so I was tired all the time. I was
yeah.
falling
Okay, got
asleep
it.
all the time. So that's kind of like the way back derivation. And then I used to play World of Warcraft a lot. And so my name, I don't know why I chose it, but my name for when I play World of Warcraft was Sleeping. And so after that, when I chose to do my YouTube channel, I wanted to do a channel on comics that are sleeping that potentially would be worth a lot of
Yeah,
money.
okay, got it.
So
Yeah, yeah,
so I pulled that up back and used Sleeping, and that's how it came to be Sleeping Comics.
yeah.
So,
Okay.
and even if so when I used to play World of Warcraft a lot, the friends that I made playing that, which I met in real life and everything, that became friends with a lot of people, they always called me Sleeping because that was my name. So I
Yeah, yeah,
actually kind of used to people calling me Sleeping because of that.
yeah, yeah. Okay. So like you're kind of online and a little bit real life nickname, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I just wanted to know because you talked about like putting your business hat on, what do you do? What's your job to get to know like you as a person a little bit more?
So I won't dock myself, whatever, but basically I've been involved with startup companies my whole life. I started my first company when I was 21, I think. It was an
Yeah.
internet company.
What kind of
And
company? What kind of company, or don't you want to tell?
oh no, it was, we built websites. It's a
Yeah.
long
Okay.
time ago, way before the
Yeah.
internet,
Yeah.
right? In fact, when we started and people know us, I would go around and ask people if they wanted a website, and they would say two things. They'd say, I don't know what that is, and
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
need one.
Okay. Then it's a couple years back.
Yeah, so it's a lot like, it's very similar to VeVe. If you say, hey, you guys should buy these digital collectibles, they say, I don't know what it is, and I don't need that. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
so I find it, very similar. But and then I got involved in multiple companies throughout the years, and so I was a math major.
Were that like companies in one specific niche, or was it like, oh yeah, I like this, I like this, I like that?
In a variety of different industries. I've worked in the medical industry, I've worked in the publishing industry, I've
Yeah.
worked, so yeah, I've been lucky enough to see a lot of different kind of different industries.
Yeah.
And so that's been fun. Built a lot of different tech. Generally, I'm the guy who makes the tech. So
Okay.
because I was a math major, because back then, like, there was no computer science major, so you were
Yeah. Yeah.
basically a math. But I, did a lot of I've done a lot of computer programming over my life, so I'm pretty at ease with that. In fact, most of the time when I get involved with something, I will, write my own. I will learn the software, write my own program in it, so that I can really kind of understand it at a lower level.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I first got into Bitcoin back in 2015, I had a bunch of computers. I was mining the Bitcoin, just because I
Yeah.
wanted to learn, right? I wanted to
Yeah.
understand how this technology worked. When
I mean,
Ethereum came
great
out, I did a little
decision,
bit
I
of.
would say, if you have some of the, or
Yeah,
yeah.
no, I sold it all. Most people know this. So I had some. I sold it all when it was around $500 of Bitcoin, 500 US dollars
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
Bitcoin. And then it got to like 20,000 around 2019 or something like that. I can't remember the first kind of big bull run.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I'll just say this, because when I got into Bitcoin, it was at 500.
Yeah.
I felt like I had missed the boat and gotten in too late.
Yeah.
And people saw, I think it actually had gone to almost 1,000 at one point, but it had fallen back to 500. And people thought it would never get over 1,000 again.
Yeah.
And so when it got to 20,000, I sold all of it, made a good profit, and
Yeah.
called it a day.
Not the baddest deal in the world, right?
No, it was it was
And
incredible, right?
profit taking is always really smart, I guess, because I came in into the crypto market in 2021 with the last big wave at the beginning of 2021, and then like I had to learn a lot the last few years. I had to get educated, because in the beginning I just came to VeVe because I thought like, okay, you can make a quick buck. Then I got hooked, and then I was like, it's going to the moon. And then I wrote all that down, and I got educated around the whole space and all that stuff. Yeah.
I think we all have to learn those lessons. I've learned those lessons twice in my life. I've talked about it in different videos, but the first lesson I learned was buying stocks in the United States stock market back when I was like 25.
Yeah.
And the one that here's the one that it was crazy, and people don't even believe it. This was a long time ago, right? I bought this company that, because I thought to myself, a lot of people are starting to play computer games now. I like to play computer games. And there was this company that made computer game chips
Mm-hmm.
called NVIDIA.
Oh no.
And I was like, I'm gonna buy some of this NVIDIA
Yeah.
stock because it
Yeah.
looks good. So I bought NVIDIA stock. It did nothing after 2 or 3 years, and then I sold it.
Fuck. Yeah. Okay. But hey,
So
sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, no?
yeah, there was another stock that I bought back then also that was, and I, once again, I was buying stocks that I knew, that I was familiar with. The companies were strong. And so I was like, there's this company called Microsoft. I use this stuff all the time. Let me buy a bunch of Microsoft stock. And it didn't do anything. It actually went down for about 2 or 3 or 4 years. And I was like, this is worthless. So then I sold my
Yeah.
Microsoft stock.
Oh.
So I
Okay.
think you have to learn those lessons. And then the other thing, which I've talked about on my channel too, was I think there was a boom back in like the 2000, I don't even know, I'll make it up, 7 or something like that, where a lot of people buying real estate and the interest
Yeah.
rates were very low here. So I bought a bunch of
Wasn't it
houses.
around 2008, like the big
Yeah, somewhere in there,
financial
right?
crisis,
Not a
I
good time
guess?
to be buying real estate. So I
Yeah,
bought a
yeah,
bunch of real estate, thought it was a good idea, lost a lot of money in that. Um, and so I think it's those are good lessons,
yeah,
and I bring those lessons to comics and collectibles and all these different types of things. Um, the one good thing is I've never gone heavy into anything. It's not like I put all my money into Nvidia or all my
yeah,
money into
yeah,
real
yeah,
estate or all. So I think it's good to diversify. But if you have a very limited amount of money in something, your ability to withstand some of the bear market is much higher.
yeah, 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 definitely. In terms of diversifying, have you diversified in terms of digital collecting, or is it just VeVe?
I have a lot of different platforms over the years that I have my most money of my digital world in VeVe by far, not even
Yeah,
close. But
yeah,
I have a Bat Cowl, I have some of the DC comics, I
yeah,
have
okay,
Cryptoy, I have a variety of different
yeah.
uh ones. I actually had 4 broadsiders, and that one has actually done quite well lately, but they got stolen. Like someone hacked my wallet and stole all my
Oh,
broadsiders
shit.
and a bunch
Yeah.
of Ethereum out of that wallet, which was painful. But it's once again learning, right? I did something that I probably shouldn't have.
Yeah, yeah, sounds a little bit, but I mean, everybody goes through some mistakes. In the beginning, I sent Omi to the wrong address, so it was like, but it was like not enough, like not much. It was like $10 because it was my first transaction, and I wanted just to test it if it's right, and it wasn't. So let us then talk about profit taking a little bit more, because it seems like you had some positive moments and some negative moments with the profit taking. So that means that you kind of probably have a strategy for the next 1.5 years. Can we talk about that?
Sure, sure. So I think with collecting or really anything, you have to kind of have these boxes. Like I'm collecting this for fun, and then this I actually am collecting because I think it's going to go up in value.
Yeah,
So I think it's important to understand target prices, even if you're guessing, right? It's all a guess. So if you buy something for 5 gems, do you think there's an opportunity there to get it to 10 gems? Like, and
yeah.
what would cause that? What catalyst would make that happen?
Like for
Other than,
example, a movie or so.
right, a movie, whatever it might be, right?
Yeah,
Um, and that other things have to take place for that to happen too. Like VeVe has to be successful and stay alive as a company, right? Like if it dies off, it's not going anywhere, right? So
yeah,
there's all these kind of gambles that you're taking. But I think that it's a classic buy low and sell high. If you understand kind of the cycle of what happens psychologically when a character, and I'm talking specifically comics here,
yeah,
comes into the mainstream, uh, and you can try to get ahead of that. That's what you're trying to do. And for me, it's always really placing low bets. I don't want to, I'm not buying something at 200 gems. I think, and it changes in the market. So back when it began, maybe it was buying something for 35 gems. That made
yeah,
sense.
yeah,
And I bought a lot of Amazing Spider-Man #1s at 20 to 25 gems, the commons. And
yeah,
then when it spiked to 85, I think it's actually one point it was over 100, I sold a lot of them. I think I only had 4 left. So
yeah,
that's what you're trying to find. The fact that the chance that Amazing Spider-Man #1, especially the fact that the common has like 40,000 mints or something like that, getting to 1,000 gems is pretty low. I mean, it could, right? But pretty low.
yeah, yeah. But
What you're
it's
looking to do is double, triple, quintuple your money. So when you're buying, like the one that I had mentioned, I think on my Twitter, was Sentry #1. So Sentry #1 is on the app here. It's the first appearance of Sentry, who's a hero, and I think the mint number is like, I don't know, don't quote me on it. The common mint number is, there might be 1,000 commons or something like that. Maybe
yeah,
less. I
okay,
can't remember.
yeah,
But that character has already been seen and will be seen in the new Thunderbolts movie that's coming out this year.
Okay, that's a good catalyst then.
So maybe it's a one and done. The character's stupid. I don't,
Yeah.
we don't know.
You
right?
never know. You never know.
You never know. But with 1,000 mints, and you can buy the comic for I was buying them for 1.5 gems.
Yeah.
Or one. I think I got one for 1 gem.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm willing to take that risk at 1 gem.
Yeah, to run it up to whatever multiple, right?
And so no, is it ever going to be worth 1,000? No, but could it get to 25 gems because people like the movie and they like the character? Sure.
Yeah.
So that's the type of gambles that I like in comics.
Especially if like the whole NFT bull run mania comes back, because like in the last bull run 21, you got caught up so much in like the hype and we're going to whatever number, because I remember I bought like the C3PO on drop for $60, and it has gone up to, I don't know what's the all-time high, but $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, and you're like, yeah, let's go to 10. What do you do to like prevent yourself falling down this rabbit hole of thinking it has to go up in a straight line, because it will definitely not.
I mean, like I said, I think you have to have a number that you want to sell at. If you have multiples of them, you sell all the way up. Keep one in the end, right? But if you only have one, it's a little bit more difficult. But I think that unless you really, really love that collectible or comic, there's a number, and you just if it gets that number, you got to put it out there.
Yeah.
If you're looking at it from the money-making perspective, which I think most, a lot of people are, it's a combo platter. I think people that say they're just collecting to collect, I don't know.
It's always a little bit of money involved.
It's okay to be like, I'm collecting because I like collecting, but I'm collecting because I want to make money. I think it's fine. I think it's all, and there might be a week where I'm really into collecting, and there might be a week where I'm really into trying to make money. So it's not something that stays constant, I think.
Yeah. Got it. I would like to talk a little bit of like critical topics inside like the comic niche and comic collector niche. For example, was it Stan Lee and Steve Ditko who made Spider-Man? Yeah. So because I've read somewhere that like all the credit has gone to Stan Lee, or most of the credit, and Steve Ditko was always in the back, but maybe he had to do more with the creation than the credit he got for it. Are there any other stories that like really...
I think it's interesting, and it's, probably obviously very competitive because these characters have taken off, but I think you always hear about stuff like that. Like another one would be Venom. Like it's Todd McFarlane, but was it so it's all these different characters and all these different even issues. People have drama around it. It's probably for me, I guess I've never been that much into those types of stories of that type of drama.
Yeah.
Because they exist. Another one, of course, is in comics is always the first appearance. Is it a cameo? Is it a first experience? Is it a
what does that
double
mean?
Cameo?
What does that mean?
So the good example of it would be, okay, let's take Wolverine. So Hulk 180 is considered the cameo. Hulk 181 is considered his first appearance. So the cameo is supposed to be like it's only on one panel. Maybe the guy doesn't talk.
Yeah.
Maybe, maybe he announces his name, but he doesn't really have much part of the story.
Yeah, he's just in the story somewhere, but has no impact on the story.
And whereas the full appearance is where they're integrated and on multiple pages, etc.
Yeah.
Now,
so like in Superman #1 and Action Comics #1, kind of?
That like, well, Action Comics #1 is his first appearance, and there is no cameo of Superman. That's his first appearance. So some don't have a cameo.
Yeah,
some
so
just have a first appearance.
Just for my understanding, so Action Comics #1 is the first appearance.
Yep.
but Superman #1 is like the first fully dedicated to Superman.
I would say it this way. I would say it's his first appearance, and then Superman #1 is his first ongoing series. So the example would be Ultimate Fallout 4 is the first appearance of Miles Morales, but the Ultimate Spider-Man #1 is the first ongoing series of Miles Morales. So Amazing Fantasy 15 is the first appearance of Spider-Man. Spider-Man #1 is the first ongoing series of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Detective Comics 27 is the first appearance of Batman, but Batman #1 is now when they have a Batman comic and it goes on. They're all valuable, but of course, the first appearance is generally the most valuable.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. What else do you like really like people to, what else do people who are into comics like to talk about if it's not like their favorite character? What are like topics inside, like really deep inside the community?
I mean, I think it's, you get really sweaty, talking about different storylines or characters.
Yeah.
I kind of like the ones that where people are kind of speculating on what's going to happen next. Is there some sort of connection here or there? So, I mean, a good example of that would be, I'm trying to think of an example. Okay, a good example would be Venom. Okay, well, I won't go too far back because I'll get crazy. It's a little sweaty. So, but so the good example would be Venom 3 introduces Null. So Null is like the ultimate bad guy for Venom, like the symbiotes. He's like the ultimate symbiote bad guy.
Yeah.
We don't really know a lot about him. He's trying to come from some other area and kill Null and kill Venom and blah, blah, blah. Okay. But then yet in Silver Surfer Black, Null shows up again at the beginning of time, even back before Galactus. So that's interesting. So those types of connections through different comic book series are fun, and so people talk about
them. Yeah. Okay. I got a little lost in the explanation because
here's another crazy one that did you watch the latest Thor movie with Love and Thunder? It was with Natalie Portman and whatever, maybe you did.
Yeah. I've watched that.
So the bad guy is named Gore, and he has a sword that allows him to kill other gods.
Yeah.
That sword is actually Noel's sword.
Okay.
So there's these weird connections of different things that will play out once we watch the movies. But in comics, they play out too, right? You didn't know that was Noel. See, so, and I don't even think they knew it when they were writing the story. But someone who saw that says, "Here, let's write this. This was an interesting little nugget. So let's add this to this." So.
Okay, so a lot of like topics to discuss on fan meetings. Do you like to go to conventions and stuff like really often, or is it like 2 to 3 times a year or so?
No, I don't go over. I've gone to some, but I haven't as many over the last. Actually, pre-COVID there was some, but now after COVID I kind of stopped. And honestly, the ones that I've been going to the last couple of years have been the VeVe ones because I've been meeting up with the VeVe community, and then obviously then going to the convention. So I've gone to New York, I think 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
And that's lots of fun. Really enjoyed it.
How were the Gold logo parties?
Good. Lots of fun.
Yeah.
I'm not a real big party guy, so just good to see people.
I mean, for the connecting and talking.
It's great. And you people that you've met before, you get to, talk to again. And then people that you've they've never met before. This last time, I think I can share this, maybe I should, but last time I was in a Airbnb, I stayed with Comics and Crypto.
Yeah.
So I know those guys, but being able to stay with them in the same house, I got to know them much better.
Totally different connection, right?
Yeah, it was really, really fun.
Yeah. I mean, I can kind of imagine that the discussions you three, Spencer and
Sean,
yeah. I mean, the discussions between the three of you really interesting, I guess, in terms of comic history and stuff.
And just not even necessarily comics, just getting to know each other, I think.
Yeah. Great, great. I have one last question. Is there something I haven't asked you about in terms of your comic collecting journey and your fandom as a comic collector that you would like to share?
I mean, I mean, there's people that know way more than I do. There's people that know less, and I think people kind of get caught up in that. But it's just your own journey, and I think it's okay, whatever you want, and you can stop collecting for 6 months or 2 years and come back to it's. It's so personal, and I think people when they watch or read or maybe compete with other people for collecting, it's really not about that. It's about your personal thing that you want to do, and that's I think that in this day and age, there isn't that many things that you can call and manage yourself. You can really manage it yourself. And so I think collecting is one of those things.
Yeah, all right. I have a last question. In terms of your physical collection and your digital collection, gun to your head, you can only keep one digital and one physical piece. What would they be?
Oh, man. All right. I don't know.
You have to choose.
So I do like my Silver Surfer one on I have a number of them, but I do like the Silver Surfer. I'm a big Silver Surfer fan, so I do like the Silver Surfer collectible on VeVe. I really liked the Galactus drop.
Yeah,
I was able to get I crafted all the way up and got the secret rare, so I was lucky and got that one.
Yeah.
And so I do like the Silver Surfer one, and then from a physical one, I have a lot of ones. Obviously, my AF-15 is a big one.
Which grade is it, or is it not?
It's very low. It's 1.8.
Yeah, but so, I mean, it's like the first.
It's still worth quite a bit of money, depending on how much money you have. I guess that
Yeah.
For some people, it's not very much money. For me, it was a lot of money.
But I guess it's around a couple 10,000, or is it less?
For that one,
yeah,
I think it's like 20K.
Yeah, for me, it's a lot of money. For me, it's a lot of money for one.
I mean, it's probably come down some because collectibles have come down some.
Yeah.
But there's just not very many. There's only like 2,500, 2,500.
And the significance is huge, right?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, who doesn't love Spider-Man? It's really. I mean, there are ones that are worth more, but I feel like for myself, Spider-Man, Marvel, it's like the holy grail of Marvel comics in a lot of ways. I feel like.
Yeah.
And there's only 2,500 of them. So, Dan has one and David has one. So, and I have one. So now there's 3 that are out of the market. So.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, I got that. Sleepyn, thank you so much for your time. It was a pleasure. I learned a lot about comics. And yeah, for everybody out there, you guys and girls know what to do. Leave a like, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. I hope you had a good time as well, and it was a valuable conversations about comics. See you guys next time, and thank you again, Sleepyn. Bye bye.